When I think of the most powerful MCU characters, the Watcher is the first one to mind, alongside Supreme Strange and Infinity Ultron. Basically, the what if guys. With Ben 10, it's obviously Alien X and the Celestial Sapiens. There's other powerful characters in Ben 10, but not on the level of Alien X when it comes to popularity and recognition. The Watcher watches stuff, so he kinda needs to be outside of the multiverse. He looks at it kinda like entertainment. Very similar to Batmite, if you remember my Joker vs. Bill video, but way less meta. He as a character is at the level of a full power Infinity Gauntlet or more. The Infinity Stones, when put together, can erase and reshape the whole universe, as Thanos was going to do so, and there's even evidence that suggests they can straight up destroy the universe. But hey, there's more. With all the Infinity Stones, Ultron was able to kill all life in his universe and then fight the Watcher, a being described as fifth dimensional, with their fight raising havoc across the whole multiverse, with each punch breaking through reality itself. The Watcher is even one of the statues alongside Eternity in Love and Thunder. Alien X has complete control over space and time, as he shows in his first appearance, when he turns back time. Celestial Sapiens, which are the species he's part of, are also capable of growing to the size of galaxies, and create clones of themselves, as we see when Ben fights another Celestial Sapien. This fight is also impressive from a skill perspective, because his opponent is a multiversal gladiator, specifically tasked to win in trial by combat on a interdimensional scale, showing that Alien X isn't just mindlessly powerful, but an expert in hand-to-hand combat. But obviously, that's just a little bit of his power, as we do see him being able to survive the universe being completely destroyed. And not only that, but then he goes ahead and creates the universe again within seconds. Well, what we perceive as seconds, because remember, as all space and time was erased, Alien X was actually moving in a place without time. And the feat is not some outlier or fluke, as feedback, an alien weaker than Alien X, was able to redirect an entire explosion of the Annihilarch. An explosion that was going to be the Big Bang and was going to create the universe. Actually, this is the exact same device that destroyed the universe before Alien X recreated it. Now, to be fair, a fusion of Alien X and Atomics did get erased by Chronosapien time bomb. But one, that bomb doesn't only destroy a universe, but all timelines in the multiverse.
Designed to wipe other timelines from existence.
Which one?
All of them.
The trunk is the main timeline. These branches represent alternate timelines, where reality literally branches off and becomes a different timeline,
of which there is an infinite number of.
Cross-time is made up of parallel versions of the history we know. A world where you didn't have to destroy the Omnitrix to defeat Vilgax,
etc.
ad infinitum.
It's hero time!
So that is arguably infinitely stronger. And two, that was a fusion with Alien X in it, meaning that it was actually weaker than Alien X himself, as it had its DNA merged with a weaker life form. In actuality, Clockwork, an inferior transformation, was able to undo the infinite timelines being erased by the bomb, so it wouldn't really make sense for Alien X to be weaker than it. If anything, it proves he should be stronger than it, as it's multiple times stated that he is Ben's strongest alien. And also, with just a fraction of his power, Ben broke through a barrier created by the five-dimensional beings Quantumelia, who used the Annihilarch to create universes from the Wide Void, or destroy universes if they are already in place. At the end of the day, this is very similar to my Alien X vs Eternity video. The Watcher is on a similar level and doesn't necessarily have any abilities Eternity doesn't have. If anything, he might have less due to the nature of his character. So this battle is, at the end of the day, again, all about who is stronger in a purely dimensional sort of way. Who can destroy more universes, more multiverses, who is higher dimensional, etc. and etc. In that way, it's very much established that the Watcher is fourth dimensional, actually. Because usually, when people talk about characters being fifth dimensional, time is included. However, time doesn't really have anything to do with spatial dimensionality. So in all reality, most quote-unquote 5D characters are fourth spatial dimensional, and then they add another dimension of time, which in my opinion doesn't really correlate to their dimensionality at all. And I'm sure if you don't know what I'm talking about, you are very confused right now. I'm sorry. But the point I'm getting at is that when characters are called fifth dimensional in fiction, a lot of times they are actually fourth dimensional. And when they're called fourth dimensional, a lot of times they're three dimensional. Just because people like to add time as on the same level of dimension as space, which I don't think it's the case. And Alien X is the same with his five-dimensional barrier. Alien X is the same with his fifth dimensional barrier feat and the Quantumelia, etc. etc. They're both five dimensional, but actually fourth dimensional. However, Alien X has the benefit of that one random episode in Alien Force establishing there's like 20 plus spatial dimensions, and the benefit of being part of a species so powerful that it affects existence itself, to the point that they can change the art style of the show even. In other words, at face value, it's pretty even, with both of them having arguments about them being fifth dimensional. However, Alien X has ways of being stronger due to being part of a larger multiverse with more spatial dimensions. And now, let me explain spatial dimensions just a little bit. If you watch my videos, you probably already know this, but I like to explain in every video so every new viewer understands. Dimensions that we're talking about are the directions. You know, as a three-dimensional individual, we can go back and forth, left and right, up and down. For example, a drawing can only go up and down and left to right. They don't have a third dimension. They're two-dimensional. They're a drawing. They're lower than us. And for example, the difference between a three-dimensional person and a hypothetical two-dimensional person, the difference between you and the drawing, is in theory the same between a three-dimensional person like us and someone who's four-dimensional. Someone who's four-dimensional would look at us like we are a drawing, at least compared to them. This is why when a character is four-dimensional or fifth-dimensional, it's pretty much understood that the higher dimensional individual is so much more powerful than the lower dimensional individual that it's not even close. So, in this case, you have two guys who at the very least are fifth dimensional, but really fourth dimensional as I explained. So they're about at the same level. However, one of them has arguments that could put him at 26 dimensional, for example, or at the very least at a higher level than the other. So in this case, Alien X is on a higher level than the Watcher, making him stronger, at least due to some arguments. In a lot of ways, you could argue they're about the same, but in some arguments you could argue he's way stronger, which is why in this video I will say that I would go with Alien X more than the Watcher, as he has more arguments for him being stronger.